All right, welcome to today's episode with System.io. My name is Tom Rolley, and I wanted to share an experience that I've had. Well, first of all, before we go there, a couple of things. One, I started with action coaching probably 2008, and that was the first time that I was exposed to an idea of a default diary. Look, you've probably heard about this term. It's basically where you block out set periods through your week where you're like, okay, that's when that gets done. And I had not much success with it. Like really, my creative nature, my last minute procrastination problems basically meant that while the default diary was a very nice thing to have, it typically was not followed. Nonetheless, I get the idea. I get the idea that this default diary could be of value. And then the other thing that I want to bring to your attention is I've started Work the System by Sam Carpenter. 4th edition, very interesting experience so far. He speaks of a benefit or a desirability for self-improving systems. That is that the more that the system gets used, the better it gets. And I wanted to bring your attention to an experience of this exact thing in regards to a default diary. Now, I'm going to be straight up front with you and say that this is experimental. This is not something that I've actually done, but I'm talking through it with you so that you might say, okay, great, we can look back and see where that evolution of the systems idea came through. Now, last week or the week before, let's call it 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, great. I need to make sure that I know how to trigger systems. There are things that need to be done in business very repetitively, commonly. Some things need to be done daily, some things weekly, some things fortnightly, some things quarterly. And I was like, okay, great. How am I going to trigger those? Well, is there anything that uses a time-based experience? I'm like, yeah, of course, the calendar. So I start putting in these calendar entries for systems that need to be done during the day. So on Monday, there was 2 systems that needed to be done. On Friday, there was a system to be done. On the 10th and the 25th of the month, the profit first system needed to be run to distribute the cash. And so I started putting these at a 7 a.m. entry point. So it's like, okay, 7 a.m., that's when the email would get sent to duplicate the systems. But today I was looking through and I was like, hang on, maybe I could actually take these reminders and stick them in a certain time in the calendar so that at 10 a.m. on Monday, there's actually a entry for a system that has the email reminder. But when I look, that time is taken up to run that particular system. Let's say it's system 308. Extract Facebook Lives. And so not only is it done on a repetitive basis every Monday, and there is this requirement to duplicate the system and execute it, but there's actually time to do it. And I'm like, wow, this is an interesting concept. This is valuable. This is something that I can block out from 10 to 11:30 and have that time available. I'm like, all right, great, 10 o'clock comes, I'm now extracting Facebook Live videos. This gave me the idea that if I knew how long on average a system took, then that also would be valuable information. Like right now, I don't know how long that Facebook Live extraction system takes. It could be, I'm guessing, an hour and a half. So I'm going to put that in and see how it goes. It might be 2 hours, in which case I can extend it out to from 10 to 12. It might be an hour and 15. I'm like, okay, right, well, hour and 15, that takes me to 10 to 11:15. And then also maybe there's some safety margin. Some weeks there may be more information than others. Some weeks there may be more difficult than others. And in this moment right now, I'm like, hang on, if I'm extracting out all of these Facebook Lives, then that would be the perfect time to review the information and create the email sequences for the week as well. Or ideally not that week, but in fact the week ahead or even 2 weeks ahead. So there's some kind of buffer to go through. And if I get delayed on a Monday, then it doesn't need to be sent by 2 p.m. It's like, you know what, we're good for 2 weeks. we can backlog a little bit. We can run into an employee who gets COVID. We can run into tech problems and still have a safety net so that at the end final result of the system, it's still regular and rhythmic. So this is a evolution. I just want to bring those ideas from the past, the default diary, plus the reminder or the experience of deploying the reminder system. And suddenly it's like, hang on, I can combine these. And I actually feel like this allows me to get a pretty good idea of how much work there is per week. Like if I fill my diary completely and I'm at 40 hours, and I'm like, man, I've still got another 10 hours of work to do to deploy these systems. That is a clear indication that I'm going to need a team member. And that would also require some space in order to create that experience as well. Like, okay, well, how do we go through? Where's the research time? Where's the system creation? Where's that initial deployment? Do I run through a dry run and create that? But nonetheless, ideally at 30 hours a week, I'm like, hang on, I can see that there's more work coming and I'm going to deploy out and make a move before it becomes a significant fire burning in my business. All right, that's all I got for you today. I just wanted to bring that as a documentation of what's going on for me in the evolution of the System.io system. It is an example of the self-improving systems, and if that is useful to you, you're like, okay, then great, take it. Think about where in your work week you could duplicate a system. If you're having trouble with creating systems and processes for your business, then I invite you to head over to systemio.dev, pop in your email, pop in your name, and go through a training there that runs through the benefits of getting systems on points and how to do this in your business. All right, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode as we continue this exploration of profit-making systems and processes in business. See you then.